Hi guys and girls, welcome back to my channel with me, Jenny, and Rainbow. I thought I'd show you Rainbow. I love Rainbow. Soft, cuddly, beautiful little doggy. And Rainbow came everywhere with me last summer on holiday, and Rainbow's coming with me again this summer to have more adventures, which I can't wait for. Today I thought we'd talk about SPD, which is sensory processing disorder. My definition of this would be it's how your mind and your body process information, and this information is all the signals that go to your brain to tell your body what to do or how to experience these things, and somehow they get mixed up and they provide then a different response to all this sensory stimuli and sensory input throughout the day. So there are different types of SPD, and I should have said actually, you can be a sensory seeker or a sensory avoider, but you can also be both at the same time. So this means that you can you might seek to be, I don't know, moving about a lot. You might seek to be spinning around or jumping up and down, but you might avoid things like labels in your clothes and seams in your socks and things like that. So you can be both at the same time. This is normally a comorbid condition, but it is also a stand-alone condition. So there's definitely SPD when I talk about myself on the spectrum. There are a lot of things that I am a sensory seeker, and there are a lot of things that I avoid. So the types of sensory processing disorder, you have vestibular. So that's where you want to be on the move, you want to be jumping up and down, spinning around, running around, all of those kinds of things, which I like to be on the move and I like to be outside. So I would say that I seek to be that kind of sensory side. There's I can never say this, proprioceptive, which is craving body contact. So that could be like bumping into things, climbing, you crave to be right near something, touching something constantly. There's oral seeking. Don't laugh. This is true. This is where you want to put things in your mouth. I did try not to laugh, but you just have to, don't you? So smoking, for instance, can be considered oral seeking. It can be things like, chewing pencils, chewing jewellery, craving texture or flavour. Definitely an oral seeker. Another one is visual seeking. So you can seek like crazy flashing lights, or you can seek soothing lights. Now I was trying to think, am I a sensory seeker or avoider when it comes to visual? I think I'm a sensory seeker. I don't like things being bright, but I definitely like LED pretty coloured changing lights, glitter lamps. I've got loads of glitter lamps. If you didn't see my Chewy Gem video where I showed you all of the dark den accessories, then check that out. That is on my channel. You also have auditory seeking. This is where you are seeking sounds or sound. So loud noises, all that kind of stuff. Now I don't like seeking. I'm not an auditory seeker. Don't like seeking. I'm not an auditory seeker. I don't seek sounds. I much prefer, and I've said so many times on my channel, I much prefer to be quiet, be alone, sit and read, sit and watch TV. If I do have my music on, I tend to have it on really quietly because it's really, really soothing. So in some ways I do seek some sounds, but only to the level that I can cope with. And then you have tactile seeking. So seeking touch, that's like restless hands. My hands, I always have to be doing something with them. I can't just sit and watch TV and not do anything. My hands are either crocheting or fidgeting with a tangle, fidget cube, any of my fidgets, holding my chew to chew, just wanting to touch things all of the time. And I actually do this a lot in shops. So if I go to the shop, and especially if I'm clothes shopping, I will be touching everything. So all the materials I'll touch, just constantly. So there you have it. Now, all of these things can cause what we call an overload, or it could also cause a meltdown, because all of these things have gotten too much. It's too stressful, it can be too loud, too bright, too noisy, all of those kinds of things. And when somebody is in overload, the best thing that you can do for them is to try to figure out what it is that's causing that person to be overloaded, to be overwhelmed, and try to take that away from them, or try to take that out of the situation, or take the person away from the situation. You know, try and encourage them to leave the room to go for a walk, or just to stand outside till they've calmed down. It's not always easy when you're in an overload mode, because I don't necessarily listen to people when I'm overloaded or overwhelmed. I tend to shut down, I tend to not verbalise, I tend to fidget more. So it's about knowing the signs of when somebody is overloaded. So what can you do after overload? Once the person has calmed down, I would say to provide a safe space for them. Provide somewhere where they can just sit alone, quiet, relax, fidget, provide fidgets, and I don't think we do that enough, really, providing fidgets, especially in classes and things. And I can understand why, because some students use them as a distraction and then they don't do their work. But for ASD students, especially if they're overwhelmed or overloaded, it can be relaxing, it can bring them back down, it can calm their senses again, which is what I use a lot of my sensory fidgets for, is to just bring my senses back down again, quiet everything again, so that I'm ready and I can listen again, I can join in again, and I can get on with things again. So that's kind of why you would see an ASD student, walking around with a teddy, for instance, or with a fidget, a tangle, a cube, chewing, not my hair, but chewing jewellery, these kinds of things. And we do it to calm our senses, to quieten our senses. There is so much every day that you can be so overwhelmed by. What other sensory stimulation is there for students or for anyone that needs them? So you've got fidget cubes, tangles. Have you seen those kinds of little jars, and they've got like putty or slime? I find those really quite nice. Depends if you like the feel of them, sensory wise. Chewable jewellery and calming lights, glitter lamps, anything like that is really sensory. So maybe even have a timer in the classroom where you just tip it upside down and you just watch the timer drip down slowly. Just anything where the ASD student can focus and get their attention again, to just calm them down a bit. I think that's all I really have to say. I can't think of anything else to say, and I don't want it to be a long rambly video. Oh yeah, so something else I can add to this is a lot of people assume that just because I don't look like I'm struggling, that that I'm okay, and that I'm not anxious, and that I'm not overloaded or not overwhelmed. That's so totally not the case. On the outside I look calm and collected, I look like I know what I'm doing, but on the inside it's totally not like that. It's an anxious place where sometimes I just go inside my own head. And I had a lesson a couple of weeks ago, and one of my students was singing one line that he knew from a an Elton John song. Literally, Rocket Man. He just kept repeating it and repeating it. And so I just, in my head, was in an Elton John concert. You know, sparkly glasses, lights, fireworks, the lot, you know, and I couldn't concentrate at all for the rest of the lesson, you know, so I had to get my fidgets out then because I needed to concentrate. I needed to get myself out of that world because I was overloaded by the situation to be able to focus again. And it brought me back, you know. A lot of the time people ask how my day's been, and I don't necessarily always talk about it, and I don't come out with it straight away, and people think, you know, that's really rude, but it's just because a lot of the time at the end of the day I'm totally exhausted, and I'm at a point where it's so exhausting and painful to talk that I just need to be quiet, and I need to be non-verbal. And it's not being rude, it's purely because of sensory processing disorder. And myself and I'm sure plenty of other ASD people, students, etc., go to a place where they're non-verbal. And that's just so that we are protecting ourselves and recharging our energy for the next day. So there you go. I think I've said all I need to say on sensory processing disorder. If you have a comment, leave it in the comment section below. As always, I'd love to hear, are you a sensory seeker? Are you an avoider? What do you avoid or what do you seek? I would love to hear from you, so leave me a comment in the comment section below. And I will chat to you guys really, really soon. Bye!